screen is visible to all of you?
सर अभी आपकी स्क्रीन विजिबल नहीं है.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the poster. Have you displayed the poster, sir?
Yeah. Hello.
Sir, have you
The first
displayed the
screen is
poster?
poster.
Oh, yeah, it is there. It is displayed.
Screen is changing.
Yeah, everything is well.
Fine. So, first of all, I would like to thanks HOD sir, Dr. Pankaj Kumar Sharma sir, for giving me this opportunity, and the organizing committee members for managing this workshop here. So in the first session, we'll discuss the introduction part of competitive coding. Here we'll see the basic need of competitive coding, and after that we'll see how we can learn competitive coding, applications, various applications, platforms that we use for the competitive coding, and we will see the basic need for the problem competitive coding here. So in the first session, we are going to have the introductory part of the various platforms, competitive coding platforms, and we will see the logic behind the problem solving ability, logical thinking, and how can we use this problem solving technique or logical thinking in the real world scenario. So we'll start with the first slide. Let's see the outline of the session. What is competitive coding? Why competitive coding? How to learn competitive coding? What are competitive coding platforms? What are the various competitive coding contests? And then we'll see various coding platforms like HackerRank, LeetCode, CodeForces, CodeSafe, and many more. After that, we'll see application of competitive coding in the real world, in our career, in our profession. How can we utilize this? And we'll see the applications in the various industries also. So first question arises, what is competitive coding? So if we want to define it, it is solving well-defined problems by writing computer programs under specified limits or conditions. This is the one-line definition for this. It is not complete, but with the help of this, we can just create an overview about the competitive coding. So in the competitive coding, we are having some set of problems that are explained in some scenarios, or you can say in the verbose form, and we have to first try to understand the problem statement, and after that we have to find the logic to solve that problem. This is the critical part of competitive coding. Means if a problem is there in real life, how we will solve this problem? Same thing we will apply in competitive coding. We have some scenarios, we have some problems, and we have to understand the problem statement. This is the very crucial part. After that, we just find the logic to solve that problem, and for that we have some limit or condition. It means if we are writing any problem, or if we are writing programs for any problem, or we are making the logic that for any problem, we have to cover that condition, or we have limitations to solve that problem. We cannot go beyond that. Suppose if we want to solve a particular problem within this time duration, we have to solve that problem within the given time limit, within the given memory space, within given time limit, okay, within given a range of values. Like these are the certain conditions that makes a person disciplined during the problem solving. That's why it is very important nowadays, because whenever we are going to work in any company, at that time we should be very disciplined at the time of writing the code. Otherwise, in the real time, it will be disastrous. Whenever it will be on the client side, or it will be on uh, the use of the application, it will be very difficult to overcome with that. So basically, if we talk about competitive coding, it teaches you how to think. Basically, it is it is a practice that evolve the logical thinking ability, critical thinking ability, and also it will enable us to develop our analytical skills also. Because in the real life, if we are working in any industry, at that time we need these skills to grow our career. So how much we are familiar with these situations, these conditions, this is basically identified by companies. So with the help of the competitive coding, we can make our career in multiple industries, multiple fields. Like we can go for software developments, we can go for government projects, we can go for the data science, machine learning, as well as we can build our career in artificial intelligence. Nowadays, it is very uh, hot topic for all, because we have already seen in Chandrayaan 3, the landing was totally controlled by AI. So all these situations, critical situations, were handled by AI systems. So it is very important uh, for the professional career. That's why nowadays it is a very hot topic for all the students, for faculties, for uh, the industry persons also in the process of recruitment. So why competitive coding? I have already explained some things. So the clear goal behind the competitive programming is to prepare a programmer such that uh, he or she or her logical ability increase, and he or she will be able to write code for challenging situations, and not only writing the code for the problems. That code must be, or the solution must be optimized, or we can say that must be efficient for that problem. So this is the basic need of the competitive coding. Now the question arises, how to learn competitive coding. So here we have basic uh, steps for the competitive coding. To learn the competitive coding, we should follow these steps. Uh, like first one is the learn basic of any programming language. Here we are not stick with particular programming language, because we definitely we need programming language, but it is not mandatory to learn a specific programming language. We should have command on any programming language, the basics of the programming language. But for the problem solving, if we are a student, for that purpose, we recommend C, C++, Java. Like these are fast programming languages. We can also use Python, but with some restrictions. If we are self-disciplined using these programming languages like Python and others, then that is okay. There is no issue. But the problem with the advanced programming languages is that we are having ready-made libraries, and that makes us very weak in logical thinking. So whenever we are going to use any library, we are not thinking about how much time that library will take or that function will take, and what will be the consequences of that. Instead of that, we are just used to use uh, multiple libraries, multiple functions in our program, and that makes our program very heavy and slow. So the competitive programming, the objective of the competitive programming is whenever we are uh, uh, writing our code or making solution for any problem, that solution must be optimized. That solution must be efficient in terms of time, in terms of uh, space. Okay, so this is the first step for the problem solving. So the second one is the knowledge of time and space complexity. So for that, if we know the complexity of any algorithm, so we'll be able to write efficient code for that. Time means the running time taken by your algorithm to solve a particular problem, and space is the extra space in terms of memory is taken by our program. So whenever we are writing code, at that time is very crucial. If we have written a code in order of n square time, that could be solved in order of n time. So in that case, in the real time, our application will hang or our application will not work properly, or expected output will not be there. So in that case, you must be careful about that. We are not just writing the code; we are writing optimized code, and for that we are doing competitive coding. For the space complexity, if our program is taking uh, much extra space, in that case also it will be resource hungry, and then it will be very difficult when at the peak time our program will not perform appropriately. So these are very important points that we should take care at the time of competitive coding. Ability to think about brute force solution if we are having any problem. So what will be the brute force solution? It means the basic solution, basic steps to solve that problem. So if we have knowledge of basic solution, after that we'll try to optimize that. We just practice to optimize that problem. So what we are doing in the real life, whenever we are having any problem, and we have just written code for that, we 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 are happy that the code is working, and we have written just code. So we should not stop here. If we have solved any problem, we should not stop here. Our work is starting from here. This is the beginning. Now we have to think what are other possibilities. What are other possibilities to solve this problem? And which one is the optimized solution? So if we have multiple solutions, in that case, which one is the optimized solution? If we have ability to identify this, then our purpose is solved. So for that, we are doing competitive coding. In the competitive coding, these points are inbuilt. These points are tested. And after that, the next point is the DSA part. So if we want to learn competitive coding, we have to make good command on DSA, that is data structure and algorithm part. Because for the coding purpose, if we want to make our solution efficient, we should have knowledge of all the data structures like array, stack, queue, linked list, tree. We should have the knowledge of multiple problem solving paradigms like greedy approach, divide and conquer, dynamic programming. So these are very important for DSL purpose because the performance of our code is totally dependent on the data. So how efficiently we are managing our data is very important. So we can take one example. Suppose we are in the library, and in the library we have arranged the book in the stacked form, like one book on another. In this case, suppose we want to access one book that is in the bottom. For that, we have to remove all other books that are on above our book. So for that, we have to do unnecessary work. Okay, suppose there are 5 books and the last one is a desired book. So unnecessarily, we have to remove 4 books. So this is the small sample case. In the real time, we are having millions of data like that. In that case, if we are doing such type of arrangement, definitely the performance will be slowed down. So we should have proper knowledge of the various data structures to organize our data, to access our data, to manipulate our data, so that our performance will go. After that, if we have the command over the DSA parts, the further sessions will cover all the DSA parts, basics of DSA part like uh, bit manipulation, mathematical approaches. After that, we will see array, strings, searching techniques. We also cover sorting techniques, linked list, uh, graph, tree, dynamic programming, DD programming, and applications of these data structure in advanced, topics like data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. We'll cover these topics during the sessions of the sub-DP. So basically, we should have the knowledge of these things. After that, last one is very important. We know practice makes man perfect. So we should practice on competitive coding platform regularly, and after that, the active participation in coding contests is very important for learning the competitive coding. So in this session, we will discuss various competitive coding platform, and we'll also see the prestigious coding contest that will help us to hit by multiple chances in our career. So what are competitive coding platforms? So competitive coding platforms that provides us an environment to competitive coding. In the competitive coding platforms, we are having some set of problem statements, some set of inputs, outputs, and some defined test cases. We need to write the code for that. And if we are good in programming, if we are able to solve all the problems, or if we are solving any problem and we are able to pass all test cases, it means we are good in programming. So basically, why we need these type of platforms? So it is very simple. If we are writing a program, simple example we can take. Suppose we are writing a program for checking the leap year. Okay. So suppose someone has written a code, and in that he has written a logic. If the year is divisible by 4, that is the leap year. Simple concept. If any year is uh, divisible by 4, that is the leap year. But it's not true. But if we check this program with the basic, test cases, it will work perfectly. Suppose someone said 2000, 2000 is a leap year or not. So our program will check, will divide by 4, and now it is having 0 remainder. It means it is leap year. So we'll be happy and saying this program is correct. But no, this is not correct. Suppose we are saying that 100 is a leap year or not. At the time of writing the code, we have not tested it. So if we divide 100 by 4, it will also give 0 as the remainder. And our program will say this is leap year. This is a leap year. Okay. But it is wrong. Because 100 is not a leap year. So what mistake we have done? Basically, we have not tested for the century years. In the leap year, if we are having century years, so for that century years must be divisible by 400. So if we divide 100 with the 400, in that case, remainder will not be 0. That's why it is not a leap year. So if we try to solve this problem on competitive coding, so in the competitive coding, we will have one test case like 2000, which will test for the divisibility by 4, which is not a or 1800 or some other years, 2024, like this. And we will also have the test case for the century years. So suppose if anyone is just writing, just covering the divisibility of 4 case, in that case, some test cases will not be passed. So he will be, he need to think about why our test cases are not passing. And then he will be disciplined to cover all the scenarios. So earlier, whenever we had labs, in that labs we are just doing programming on IDEs, like basic compilers. So in that cases, as a faculty, it is not possible to just uh, test all the programs with multiple test cases of the multiple students, because we have limited time of 2 hours for the lab, and there are 60 students or 65 students. So at that time, it is not possible for that. So suppose if we have a contest for that, if we have created a you know contest like lab, and we are implementing this on the platform, in that case, if any student is not able to pass all test cases, it means some mistake is there in his or her code. So we can just identify that student, and we can also identify the problem of that student. So with the help of this, we are day by day we are disciplined in the coding, and we make the practice of doing right coding. Because if we are writing a code and no one is there to check whether the code is correct or not, so in that case we just thought of we are writing correct code, and that will be dangerous at the real time whenever we are going for a placement, or we are sitting in any contest, competitive exam. In that case, we are not having such type of experience. So as a faculty, because we know many faculties are here, so we should keep practice of the competitive coding platforms from the beginning of the students. Many colleges are starting problem solving classes training from the first year itself. The difficulty level is very easy and then proving easy to moderate and difficult like that. Because of that, nowadays these computing coding platform is the career. Without these terms, without competitive coding platforms like HackerRank, LeetCode, CodeSafe, CodeProcess, if we are trying to get good placement offers, it is not possible. Definitely, it is not possible at this time. So we should adopt these things. So instead of traditional programming patterns, we should move towards competitive coding platform. So that was the simple example of this. I think this cleared all of you. Any query up to this?
No, sir.
Sir, your screen is not visible for programming. आपकी what are competitive coding platform is only visible here.
What are competitive coding platforms? In the screen, I was writing something that was visible or not?
Only this slide is visible for a long time.
I was writing on this slide that
no,
was.
No,